What is standard form? So standard form is just a way of writing very large numbers or very small numbers so that they're easier to read. Let's go over some important steps or rules that we must follow when we're writing numbers in standard form. So when writing numbers in standard form, the first step is to change the number given to a decimal between 1.0 and 10.0. Then count the amount of spaces moved, and that number is the power that is to be multiplied by 10. The third and the final step is to identify the direction in which the decimal point is moved. And something very important that you need to remember is that if we move the decimal point to the left, then our exponent is positive. And if we move the decimal point to the right, the exponent is negative. And that is going to be explained. So any number that can be written as a decimal between 1.0 and 10.0 multiplied by a power of 10 is in standard form. Now what do I mean by this? The format for writing numbers in standard form is A multiplied by 10 to the power of n. So in this case, A would represent a decimal between 1 and 10. So say for example 1.1. It's always going to be multiplied by 10 to a power. Say for example 3. I'm going to do an example to show you how we would arrive at this. But just always remember that the format is A multiplied by 10 to the power of n. Okay, so now let's use this example to go through the rules to make sure that you understand. Now the first rule says that we must change it to a decimal that is between 1 and 10. Now when we get a whole number like this, we automatically know that the decimal point is right there at the end, right? And we need to change this now. We need to change 2,300,000 into a number that is between 1 and 10. Now to do that, we're going to have to move the decimal point. Now, so we're moving the decimal point to right here. This number right here is still greater than 10, and it has to be a number between 1 and 10. So we're going to move again, move again. This number is still greater than 10, 2,300, right? So we're moving again. We're moving and we're moving. This number, 23, it is still greater than 10, so we can move again. When we move and we stop right here, now we have 2, right? 2.3, and that is less than 10 but greater than 1. So that's a perfect number. So we're going to write down that number that we have. So we have 2.3. And it is always what? Multiplied by 10 to a power, and how we will know what the power is. Now to know what the power is, we have to count and see how many spaces did we move. Now we started here. We moved 1 space here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that we move 6 spaces. So the power is going to be 6. But how will we know if it's a negative 6 or a positive 6? Remember the two important things that we should always remember. When we move the decimal point to the left, the exponent is positive. When we move it to the right, exponent is what? Negative. We moved from here to here. And this direction is what? Left. So because we moved to the left, the 6 that we have, it is now a positive 6. So our final answer would be 2.3 times 10 to the 6th power. Now let's look at this example, and the same rules apply. We're going to change the number that we get to a number that's between 1 and 10. Now to do that, we're going to have to move the decimal point. So we're moving it. We're moving it. We'll continue to move. We move. What we get now? 6, right? And that's a number between 1 and 10. So we're going to leave the decimal point here. Why wouldn't you go over to here? because you're going to get what? 69. And that is greater than 10. And we need a number between 1 and 10. So we're not going to go all the way there. We're going to stop right here. And now we have our number. We're going to write it down. So that's 6.91. And it's always what? Multiplied by 10 to a power. How we know the power? Let's count how many spaces we moved. We moved 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. But we have to check if it's what? Positive or negative. And we know this by checking the direction that we moved. Now we're moving the point from here to here. And this direction is what? Right. So whenever we move to the right, we know that the exponent is negative. So it's a negative 4. And that would be our answer. So 6.91 times 10 to the negative 4. Now let's look at this one, 26,500, and we're supposed to write that in standard form. Now, because we don't see the decimal point, and we know that for this whole number, the decimal point is right here at the end. Now, we're going to move the decimal point so that we can get a number that's between what? 1 and 10. So let's move it. Move it. 26 is still not between 1 and 10, but 2.6 is. So a number that we have now is what? 2.65. It's always multiplied by 10. And now let's count how many spaces we moved. So we moved 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And because we moved to the left, it is a positive 4. So this will be our final answer. So 26,500 in standard form is 2.65 times 10 to the 4th power. Now let's look at this example, 0.00906, and we need to write it in standard form. So the first thing to do is to change it to a number between what? 1 and 10. So let's move the point. If we should move it here and here, I want to stop here. 0.9 is not 1 or more, so we have to move it to a number that's what? Between 1 and 10. So we have to move it again. Now we have 9, which is what? Between 1 and 10. So we're going to write down the number. So it's 9.06. It's always multiplied by 10 to a power. How we know the power? We count. So let's count. 1, 2, 3. And because we moved to the right, the power is negative. So we have what? A negative 3.